Hi, everyone. This week, we are going to continue to build on something that we discussed in last week's video. So in last week's video, I invited everyone to start taking a look at some of the biases that they might have. And by definition, we also talked about how that's where our blind spots are. They're unconscious. We're not typically aware of them. So I said, well, then the question begs, how do we become aware of them? And one way to do that is to expose ourselves to perspectives that are unfamiliar to us, or with individuals that might see the world very, very differently. So one activity that I wanted to share with you today that I always do at all of my trainings, which I think is really, really helpful to start recognizing the perspective that we might not have or see or might be unfamiliar to us, is by taking a look at our inner circle. So if I'm doing this in a workplace, I usually invite individuals to think about, in a workplace scenario, who are the 10 individuals that are part of your inner circle? And from inner circle, these are the people that you'll share the most with, that you might involve in projects. So these are your confidants at work, the people that you your go-to inner circle. And what I ask people to do is to create a list from 1 to 10. Think of your top 10 inner circle individuals. And once you've had an opportunity to list out the top 10 people in your inner circle, then what I invite people to do is to take a look at those 10 individuals across a variety of dimensions of diversity. So I want you to look at their age. I want you to look at their gender identity or expression. I want you to look at their marital status, their religion, their education, whether they're a veteran or not, whether they are able or have a disability. So when you are able to list all of those different dimensions of diversity and start looking at the people that are in your inner circle, do you start seeing that the individuals all share or a similar perspective? Because we are also attracted to, and this comes from our brain and that survival mechanism that I talked about last week, is that we're attracted to those who are like. In other words, people who look like us, think like us, because our brain interprets that as safe. And so it would be very normal, as you're looking at your own list, to be surrounded by individuals that might have or share a lot of similarities to you, whether it's in your generation, your age group, your education, marital status, whatever the case might be. And you start recognizing, when you start looking at that list, what perspectives you might be missing. When I did this exercise for the first time, what I remember is that I didn't have anyone, not in my inner circle or my extended circle. I couldn't think of anyone that I knew that identified with having a disability. And what that made me realize is that sometimes I might even have very strong opinions about things that might impact those with disability without even having a perspective or any relationship with someone who identifies as having a disability. And therefore, how informed can my opinions be on a perspective that I have no information or no familiarity with? So that's one example. So my invitation to all of you is to do that exercise. It's one way in which you can start recognizing which perspectives you don't have or are not showing up, and to see what comes up for you. What might you be missing when it comes to the perspectives? And then you can have a little bit more direction in terms of how to surround yourself with individuals, or how to make a very intentional effort to go out and seek those opinions and those perspectives. So for me, after I recognized that, I made a concerted effort to speak to those, for example, in my community, those who sit on commissions for those with disabilities, and really start understanding more. So for me, it's always about, okay, what am I missing here? So that would be my invitation to all of you. What are you missing, and how can you educate yourself more on perspectives that you don't have or you don't share, and things that are below the waterline for you?